These are linking words that you can use when adding a point. Notice the punctuation. There are commas after most of these, and they come at the beginning of the sentence. To, on the other hand, is for the end of the sentence, and there is a comma before it. You must make sure to use a variety in each paragraph. Don't write in addition for one idea, then in addition for the next, etc. And don't have lots of other in additions in other paragraphs. Vary them up. Use different ones to show the examiner that you know how to use these phrases. You use these when you have a positive point coming after a positive point, or a negative point after another negative point. Let's say an advantage to your supporting idea followed by another advantage. Here's an example. The product is very expensive. In addition, it costs a lot to repair. Or, the product is very expensive. It costs a lot to repair too. These are two negative ideas, one after another. So in between them we have in addition in the first example, or we can have to at the end after a comma in the second example. You can also use them to introduce your next supporting ideas. However, be careful. If you write in addition to introduce your second supporting idea, and then you have two advantages, what linking word can you put in between the advantages? If you write furthermore and then later you begin your third supporting idea with moreover, the reader may get confused as to where one idea stops and another one starts. My advice is use first, second, third, etc. to introduce your next supporting ideas if your paragraph has lots of proofs and explanations. Here are some more linking phrases that you can use when adding a negative point to a negative point or a positive point to another positive point. As well as, followed by noun or gerund, comma, and then your next point. Or, besides followed by noun or gerund, and then your next point. For example, as well as being expensive, the product costs a lot to repair. We have as well as plus gerund, being. Or, as well as its price, the product costs a lot to repair. Here we have a noun after as well as. Or you can use besides in the same way. Besides being expensive, the product costs a lot to repair. Be careful. Besides, comma has a different meaning. The sentence after besides, comma says, this point is the only one that really matters. For example, I'd never go to the Bahamas because I hate sandy beaches and it's too hot. Besides, I'm afraid of flying. This last sentence means, even if I did like sandy beaches, and even if I didn't mind the heat, I still wouldn't go, because I'm afraid of flying. That is the big reason why I would never go there. Here's another way that you can add a point. You can use not only but also. It means both X and Y. But be careful with the grammar. Even though it's not a question, you use the question form after the not only part. Not only did he forget to buy soap, but he also lost $20. We use did here, the auxiliary verb that we use in past simple, for questions, and the infinitive of forget. We can't say not only he forgot. Here's another example. Not only am I forgetful, but I am also clumsy. Here I and am change around, like in a question with the verb to be. Am I happy? Am I rich? Is she nice? Here's one more. Not only can he speak French, but he also knows Russian and Arabic. So be careful with not only. Contrasting. This means putting negative after positive or positive after negative. How do we do this? There are some linking words that you have probably seen already in your earlier studies in English. There are also some difficult or confusing ones. Let's look at some of the easier ones first. But, however, although, though, and on the other hand. Let's link these two ideas. Fred is friendly, Fred is stingy. Stingy means doesn't like spending money or is not generous. We can say, Fred is friendly, but he is stingy. Fred is friendly, however, he is stingy. Notice that in US English they put a semicolon after the first idea. Although Fred is friendly, he is stingy, which written in another way is, Fred is stingy, although he is friendly. And that means exactly the same. You just put them in a different order. Though Fred is friendly, he is stingy. Fred is friendly, he is stingy though. Fred is friendly, on the other hand, he is stingy. All of these mean exactly the same, but they're put together in different ways as regards punctuation. Let's look at another linking word that we can use for contrasting, and that is whereas. Whereas compares totally different people, things, places, or situations, but on the same topic. We can't use the Fred example. You can't say Fred is friendly whereas he is stingy, because it's the same person, Fred, in both parts of the sentence, and it's about the same topic, his character. Here's an example with whereas. Whereas an apple costs only 12p, a pineapple can cost up to 80p. You're comparing two different things, an apple and a pineapple on the same topic, their price. Here's another contrasting linking word. Conversely is for explaining a complete opposite, like a person, thing, situation, etc. For example, if you sleep for 8 hours a day, you wake up fresh and feeling energetic. Conversely, if you only have 4 hours sleep, you spend the next day feeling tired and being unproductive. So you have on the one hand sleeping for 8 hours, and then the opposite is not having enough sleep, like 4 hours. So you would prefix that with conversely. Here are some more linking words that you can use when contrasting two ideas, and they're a little bit different to the ones before. They are in spite of, despite, and even though. They all give these meanings. Although X, Y is unavoidable or unexpected or surprising. Or, although X is a difficult situation or a circumstance that is not ideal or not good, Y still happens or happened. You are saying, hey, what I'm going to say now is quite unusual. You wouldn't expect this. The Fred example is possible because you expect friendly people to be generous. Let's look at the grammar that we have to use with these phrases. We follow in spite of with a noun or noun clause. Then we write the second part with the subject and verb. Despite works in the same way, and it means the same as in spite of. There is no active verb in the first part of the sentence. Look at these examples. Despite the rain, they had a picnic. It means that normally people don't have picnics in the rain, but these people did. That's unusual. We can also write, in spite of the rain, they had a picnic. For the Fred example, we can write, despite being friendly, Fred is stingy. Or, in spite of being friendly, Fred is stingy. So even though there is this nice part of Fred, friendly, boom, surprise, he's stingy. Here's another example. Despite jogging every day, I haven't lost weight. Or, in spite of jogging every day, I haven't lost weight. This to me is surprising. I still didn't lose weight after all that jogging. These sentences are reversible. You can say, they had a picnic in spite of the rain. There is no change in meaning. Even though means the same as in spite of and despite, however, the grammar is different. Remember, in spite of or despite are followed by nouns or gerunds, noun clauses, but even though has a verb in its clause. The construction is, even though X, comma, Y, in the same sentence. Let's rewrite our previous examples with even though. Even though it was raining, they had a picnic. Even though Fred is friendly, he is stingy. Even though I've been jogging every day, I haven't lost weight. These are also reversible. You can say, they had a picnic even though it was raining, or Fred is stingy even though he is friendly. Here are two more choices that you can use when contrasting. Nevertheless, and having said that. The meaning is this. Despite the statements before this sentence, here is an opposite idea. So it's the same meaning as for despite and even though, etc. But the grammar is different. Look at this. We were tired and hungry. Nevertheless, we continued working. The linking word comes after the first idea, the difficult situation, and starts a second sentence. Don't forget to write the comma after nevertheless. Let's explain this example. If you are tired and hungry, normally you think, oh, I don't want to work. Enough. Let's finish. But this is a contrasting idea after a difficult situation. We continued working. Despite everything that happened before, it didn't matter. We continued working. Here's another example. We had lots of energy. Nevertheless, we couldn't work because the machines hadn't arrived yet. Let's first look at a simple gerund. Swimming is fun. And you see here, the gerund is a singular noun. This action is fun. Let's make it a little more complex. Swimming with friends is fun. Well, that's not very complex, is it? Let's try a little harder. Swimming in the sea with friends is fun. So here, the gerund includes all of these words as a noun phrase. Now there's a noun here that is plural, another noun here, but this here is one single action, and it is fun. Here's one that's more complex. Swimming in the sea with friends whom you don't see often is fun. So we've added here a relative clause, an object relative clause, but still this action with these friends is fun. So if you add a relative clause, for example, to the gerund, then that makes it more complex, and that will get you more points in IELTS writing. You could even add more clauses to the end. Let's look at an example. Swimming in the sea with friends whom you don't see often is fun if you swim responsibly, meaning you shouldn't drink alcohol. So what we did there is we added a conditional at the end of the sentence. So we have 3 clauses in there with a gerund, and then we stuck a comma on the end and gave the meaning of this idea of what swimming responsibly is. It means you shouldn't drink alcohol. If you write sentences like that, you will definitely get an 8 or a 9, provided that you don't make many mistakes in your other sentences. Let's do some practice. Arrange these sentences into one with a gerund as the subject. Here's an example. I'm thinking of my holidays. It excites me. They are next month. Well, we can write this. Thinking of my holidays next month excites me. Try this one here and pause the video if you need to think. Visiting the Taj Mahal was the highlight of my holiday. Not telling the truth was the government's biggest mistake. So this here is a negative gerund here, not telling the truth. That particular action was the government's biggest mistake. So we substituted its, that pronoun, possessive pronoun now, for the government's. Not protecting the elephants made the situation worse. It's hugely important that you don't skip the planning stage, because a good plan means easy and fast writing. Many students say, I don't plan, and this is very obvious to a teacher or an examiner who looks at the essays, because these essays, where there is no planning, they lack focus and flow, or they are mixed up and or illogical, and for this you will lose points. Cohesion and coherence is worth 25% of the writing grade. Cohesion and coherence is all about the focus and flow of your essay. So if you don't plan and you only score 3 points for cohesion and coherence, then for the task achievement or task response you must get 9, and for grammar 8, and for vocabulary 8, if you are going to achieve a 7. Now, a score of 8 for grammar means that your grammar must be advanced, and your vocabulary. This is C1 level or a very good B2 level. And so, if your grammar and vocabulary is not at C1 level, you will fail. So, you must plan. Many students also say, but I don't have time to plan. They immediately panic and start writing without planning at all. Now, for task 1, you have 20 minutes to write 150 words. That's 8 seconds per word. Let's see how that looks. There's the first word. There's the second word. You see how slow that is? And there's the third word. So there's no need to panic because you have so much time to write. Oh, there's the fourth word. Let's move on. For task 2, you have 40 minutes to write 250 words. That's like writing 1 word every 9.6 seconds. Let's see how that looks. Wow, this is slow. There's a second word. Waiting, 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 waiting. You get the idea? Oh, there's a third word. I'm getting bored with this. Let's move on. So, for example, if you're doing task 2 and you spend 5 minutes planning and 10 minutes checking, that leaves you with 25 minutes to write 250 words. What does that look like? It looks like this. You see, even that is slow. That's 6 seconds per word. You have lots of time to plan, and a good plan means that you can use your writing time to focus on grammar and vocabulary instead of your ideas. So make sure you plan. I will explain all about planning in more detail about Task 1 and Task 2 in their relevant videos. But here's a general note. You must always check that you have all the ingredients, meaning everything that you need in your essays. So this means for Task 1 academic module, you need enough points of interest from the graphs, and you need to make enough connections with all the data. For the Task 1 general training, you need to answer all the points and give extra relevant information. For Task 2, make sure that you write causes and effects, and disadvantages and advantages and solutions where necessary. These will prove that your point of view is correct, and your main job is to persuade the examiner that your ideas are correct. You must always delete repetitive ideas from your plan, because it means that if you start writing and then you repeat yourself, you don't have time to erase it and then write new replacement ideas. You need to think of these replacement ideas in the planning stage. You don't have time to do this wrongly. And you will find that it's quicker and better than deleting from your essay if you've got a good plan.